So you're thinking about hopping on two wheels for the first time, huh? Maybe you're one of those folks who spent all of 2020 locked inside and you want to get out and experience the open road. Or maybe you finally moved out of your parents' basement and you get to make your own rules. Either way, you've decided that motorcycles are your drug of choice. And you know what? I'm actually super jealous. I'm not kidding. Taking the plunge into motorcycles is the sort of thing you only get to do once, and it's both exciting and scary at the same time. You get so much stuff thrown at you all at once that it can be a bit overwhelming, but in today's video, we're going to give you the ultimate guide to getting started on two wheels in 2021. We're going to cover steps all the way from picking your first bike, buying gear, finding an MSF course, all the way up to doing your first maintenance and mods on your machine, because despite what Harley commercials might leave you to believe, there's actually a lot of non-riding motorcycle activities you'll find yourself involved in, and you need to be prepared for it. If you're a vet and think that we missed something in this video, feel free to drop some pearls of wisdom down below so others can learn as well, but just don't be a dick, please. Let's remember that the more people on motorcycles, the better, and let's try for welcoming these bike-curious folks. Before we get too far into the video though, I need to take a second and shout out today's sponsor, Cardo. They make the original motorcycle communicator and they're our comms of choice. We've abused our Cardos basically every day and they just keep on ticking. The range is top notch, the sound quality is awesome, they have a super easy to use app for pairing your Cardo to other riders. If you want to get the big dog, you can get the Pack Talk Bold or Slim, but if all you want is music while you ride, they've got systems that are cheaper with all the stuff you want and nothing you don't. Click that link down below and use the code Yammie for 20% off your purchase. Big shout out to Cardo for being a longtime partner of the channel and supporting this video. Now let's start out at the very beginning. Assuming you know absolutely nothing about motorcycles, you're probably looking at YouTube videos wondering what it's like. Well, allow old Papa Yam a minute to get poetic, but riding a motorcycle is thrilling and peaceful at the same time. When you're out on the road, it's just you and the bike, maybe some music in your helmet. It's a very zen-like activity. There are times when I'm sitting at the table in the office working on something for the channel and think, you know what, screw it, I just need some dirt bike time. I'll wheel out my dirt bike and go play in a lot behind the office for a few minutes just for fun. It's not uncommon for riders to sneak out for just a 30-minute drive down a favorite twisty road or just for the heck of it. It's not like driving a car where you're getting from point A to point B. You're out there having fun. Unless it's 1,000,000 degrees in a Texas summer and you're sitting in Austin traffic. Then you spend your time begging for the sweet release of death, but it's mostly a fun part time. That's one thing I'd like to impart on anyone who's thinking about getting on a motorcycle. You might start looking because you think it's a cheap way to get around town or just because you can park them anywhere or whatever. But after a few weeks, it becomes a hobby, and after a few more months, it becomes your entire life. So just be prepared for that. With all that being said, it is not all sunshine and rainbows. Motorcycling can be dangerous. It is true that when you crash, you're more likely to be injured than in a car, and it's rare to find a motorcyclist who hasn't crashed at least once. But don't think that hopping on a bike is a death sentence. There are plenty of folks who have ridden for decades, even to the point where they've had to give it up because they're no longer physically capable of being on a bike. Or they just get a Harley Tri-Glide or something like that. You need to be willing to be responsible for your personal safety and take an active role in protecting yourself when you're out on the road. If you're willing to accept that, then congratulations, motorcycling is for you. If not, no worries, but you probably shouldn't hop on a bike. But Yammie, how will I know if I even like being on two wheels? Well, because you're gonna go and take the MSF course, my diminutive calamari. The MSF course is a weekend class where you spend a little time in a classroom learning the basics of riding a bike and what makes it so different to driving a car. You'll then spend a day or two out in a parking lot on small displacement motorcycles actually learning how to ride. If you look in the comments section of this video, you're gonna see a bunch of shrimp-brained people saying you don't need to take the MSF course for one reason or another. But trust me, my dudes, you should 100% take the MSF course. But where to find one? If you do a quick Google search for MSF classes in your area, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of locations and schedules, but if you're too lazy to do that, then the easiest way to find an MSF course, just walk into your local Harley-Davidson dealership. As much crap as we give Harley, they actually do a very good job with their new rider courses. You get a lot of range time, the class is fun, and you'll even get a free t-shirt, which is the kind of thing that Harley's really good at. The only knock against the Harley course is that you're on a Street 500, which is an objectively bad motorcycle. You won't know any better as a first-time rider, but it might be nice to find a variety of bikes in your class. Usually, you'll find courses using Ninja 300s, Rebel 300s, Groms, or lightweight dual sports. In fact, my MSF course actually featured a Honda CRF 250L, which I believe firmly implanted the seed of dual sports deep in my heart. If you get the chance, throw a leg over as many different styles of bikes, and you might be surprised because you actually like one, and in the MSF course, it's the only times you'll have a risk-free chance to try them all out. You might be surprised at how much more you like one style than you thought you might have. The only gear you'll need to take to an MSF class is a long-sleeve t-shirt, full-length pants, closed-toed shoes, though you should really wear boots and gloves. A lot of places you don't even need to bring a helmet, they'll provide it for you. This is the best way to get out there and experience what it's like on two wheels in a low-risk environment. Now that you've completed the MSF course and you're going to want to get your first motorcycle, the next step, although, is to begin purchasing your gear. If you took the MSF class using their gear, you should assemble a full kit of gear yourself before you buy a bike. This will take a little bit of time if you don't have a bunch of money set aside, but I recommend spending at least $800 to $1,000 on your first motorcycle kit. Start with the helmet. It's the single most important piece of safety equipment you can buy. I strongly suggest you go to a store and get sized up so you know what your head shape is. That'll help you narrow down your helmet options, and you can speak with someone in the store who will help you. Next, make sure whatever helmet you're wearing has at least the ECE sticker. Racing board certifications like FIM and the Snell stickers are nice too, but they're not a hard requirement. Just make sure it's ECE rated. Next up, get a jacket. This one you can buy online if you live somewhere like Texas where it's hot. Don't buy leather. That's a small brain move. You'll roast like an egg on the sidewalk. Textile jackets offer just as much impact protection, and thanks to Kevlar backing, you can slide almost as far in them too. Make sure you have elbow, shoulder, and back pads that fit snugly on you once you wear it. Make sure there aren't any tight spots or anything that might restrict your motion. Next up, get a good pair of boots. My personal choice for years has been the Alpine Stars SMXs, which we are desperately trying to get on the store so we can sell them ourselves because I love those boots. But if you want something a little more covert, there's tons of options. Lastly, you should make sure you buy motorcycle-specific gloves. Yes, leather gloves and work gloves might work and might be able to go for a little slide, but they don't have any impact protection. Make sure you have a slider in the palm of your hand at the very least. Moto-specific pants are up to you. Personally, I wear moto pants all the time, but if you've seen Spite roll around in his ripped Levi's, so it's up to you. By the way, if you want to buy some solid gear and win a motorcycle at the same time, click the link down below to shop.yammienoob.co. For every dollar you spend is an entry to win one of our giveaway bikes. We've specifically tailored our selection of gear to be great choices for beginner riders on a budget, so check it out. We also feature some top-of-the-line Arai helmets, which you guys have probably seen in the videos. I literally always wear Arai, and they're our preferred premium helmet manufacturer. Once you've completed your MSF course and gotten your gear, it is time to pick your bike. This is the fun part. If you've got to try out a whole bunch of different styles of motorcycles in the MSF class, you might have a better idea of what you want as your first bike. Or maybe you don't care about different styles and you just want your sport bike, or maybe there's just something tugging at your heartstrings. Either way, now's the time to look for your first bike. By the way, a quick pro tip, start saving your pennies before you start looking so you have the money ready when you find the right bike. Our official position here at Yammie Noob is that you buy a used motorcycle for your first bike. The main reason is you don't want to drop a whole bunch of money and get a loan on a bike only to drop it and scuff it up the fairings and take the depreciation loss as well. There's tons of videos of people dropping their shiny new toy on the right-hand turn out of the dealership, and you don't want that to be you. Instead, look for a used bike. One with a few miles on the clock will command a lower price than one that's just passed the break-in. Don't let the miles scare you. Even a bike with 25,000 miles will have plenty of life left in it, especially Japanese bikes, which you should probably look for, let's be honest. Some things to look out for. Number one, mods do not add value to the motorcycle, so if a seller is claiming that they've got an expensive full system exhaust on the bike and a tune and a whole bunch of other goodies, that doesn't make it any difference in the value of the bike. Number two, make sure the owner is a normal person. You don't want to buy from a meth head. Chances are they've neglected the motorcycle, either skipping maintenance or failing to get the bike titled and registered. All of those are red flags. Make sure the bike has a title. No title, no bike. I don't care what anyone says down in the comments about where they live. If you don't have the title, you don't own the bike. It's a really big pain in the butt to deal with that. Make sure your first bike has a title. Number four, can you ride the bike back? If you don't have gear, have a buddy come down with you and pick up the bike and let them test ride it for you. Never buy a bike without riding it first. Number five, make sure you've got the bike insured before you ride it home. No, this is not a progressive pitch, it's just good advice. I've heard horror stories of people buying their bike and having it stolen a few days or weeks later, or literally dropping or crashing their bike in the first couple of miles, and then they're out on their butt. Make sure you've got insurance just in case. Okay, now you've got a motorcycle, so you're done, right? Wrong! Of course you're not done. I've still got like 400 words left in this script. No, you gotta go practice some on your bike. You don't need to be a complete parking lot warrior, but it helps to spend a little bit of time riding around, familiarizing yourself with how your bike handles. 9 times out of 10, you're not rolling around on the same bike you took the MSF class on, and even if you are, yours might handle a little differently than the one that's been beat up by a whole bunch of people every Saturday for the last 5 years. Also, the MSF is not gonna teach you everything you're ever gonna need to know about riding. There's lots of skills you're gonna need to practice outside of what they teach you in the MSF as well. Once you feel confident with your bike, it's time to hit the road. Go experience some twisty roads slowly at first, and then you can start to go a little bit quicker. Do some long days out in the saddle. Basically anything you do at this point will make you a better rider. There is no substitute for good quality seat time. After a few weeks or months, maybe you want to take your bike to a track day or off-road if it's capable of that. Or even if it's not capable of that. I'm not advocating that you go scramble your street bike, but it's kind of fun if you do. Or go find some riding buddies, or go on Meetup, or hang out with people, do all kinds of fun stuff. Regardless of what you do, you're probably gonna be having a really good time doing it. The first few months are gonna go by the blink of an eye, but they're probably gonna be the best time of your life. I'm not kidding. There are so many fond memories of mine from my first couple months of riding a motorcycle. It was seriously life-changing. One thing you need to remember to do when you're riding around is your basic maintenance. I'm not saying you should dive right in and adjust your valves unless you're already, mechanically inclined, but you should be oiling and cleaning your chain, checking on your tires, and changing your own oil at the very least. Some jobs like changing brake fluid, you might want to have a buddy to help you out, but there are others simply watching a YouTube video is enough to guide you through. Ari Henning over on Revzilla has a great series called The Shop Manual that explains the basics of how to work on and service your motorcycle. He's even got a video on assembling your own toolkit, which is a must if you plan on working on your own bike. Did Ari Henning pay for a spot in this video? Of course not. He just does great stuff and we love shouting him out. Don't be that person who needs to take their bike in to get the oil changed and the chain lube. That's going to start costing you all kinds of money, and it's really not that hard to do that stuff. Some tools you should have right off the bat: a rear stand, a set of Allen keys that match your bike, a set of ratcheting sockets that match your bike, an oil pan, a grunge brush, and a flashlight. Anything else you can get by, and you can get it as you need it. But there you have it, a guide to getting into motorcycles from knowing nothing to wrenching on your own bike. There's a whole bunch of other things in this video that I couldn't have talked about, otherwise it would literally be like 6 hours long. If you're a vet and you think we missed something, please leave your 2 cents down below. But remember people, be nice or Papa Yam will smite you more righteously than you've ever been smitten. Fact: sleep literally cleans your brain. During slumber, more cerebrospinal fluid flushes through the brain to wash away harmful proteins and toxins that build up during the day. Papa Yam recommends getting your full 8 hours and drinking lots of water. Goodbye.
Keep watching Yammie Noob.